Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 270 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. So, another 10 days down. Congratulations. Today we're going to talk about sainthood. Sister Faustina is going to talk about her desire to be a saint. And I know that a lot of us think that sainthood is unattainable and for the other person to do, but not us. And that's just not true. And so that is going to be our topic for today in Notebook 5, numbers 1325 through 1329. O my God, let everything that is in me praise you, my Lord and Creator. And with every beat of my heart, I want to praise your unfathomable mercy. I want to tell souls of your goodness and encourage them to trust in your mercy. That is my mission, which you yourself have entrusted to me, O Lord, in this life and in the life to come. We are beginning an 8-day retreat today. Jesus, my Master, help me to make these holy retreat exercises with the greatest favor possible. May your Spirit guide me, O God, into the most profound depths of knowledge of yourself and of my own self as well. For I shall love you only as much as I shall come to know you, and I shall despise myself only as much as I shall come to know my misery. I know, Lord, that you will not refuse me your help. I desire to come out of this retreat a saint, even though human eyes will not notice this, not even those of the superiors. I abandon myself entirely to the action of your grace. Let your will be accomplished entirely in me, O Lord. First day. Jesus. My daughter, this retreat will be an uninterrupted contemplation. I will bring you into this retreat as into a spiritual banquet. Close to my merciful heart, you will meditate upon all the graces your heart has received, and a deep peace will accompany your soul. I want the eyes of your soul to be always fixed on my holy will, since it is in this way that you will please me most. No sacrifices can be compared to this. Throughout all the exercises, you will remain close to my heart. You shall not undertake any reforms because I will dispose of your whole life as I see fit. The priest who will preach the retreat will not speak a single word which will trouble you. My Jesus, I have already made 2 meditations, and I recognize through them that everything you have said is true. I am experiencing a profound peace, and this peace flows from the witness of my conscience. That is to say, that I am always doing your will, O Lord. In the meditation on the goal of man, I understood that this truth is deeply rooted in my soul, and that my deeds are therefore the more perfect. I know why I was created. All creatures taken together cannot take the place, for me, of my Creator. I know that God is my ultimate goal, and so, in whatever I undertake, I take God into account. When I was growing up, I remember this very distinctly. I was in the kitchen and I was complaining about having to go to church. I was probably a middle of the road teenager. And I was whining and complaining and just going on, and my mother was just patiently dealing with me. And I said something to the effect of, I don't want to go to church. I'm there with all those boring people. And man, my father turned around and just lit into me at my rudeness and my presumption and my judgment, my awful lack of judgment, and really got after me. And I deserved it because what I said was really awful. I mean, that's a horrible thing to say about people who are trying to lead Christ-like lives and try to be, good Christians. We all fall. But I was just trying to say something and it came out stupid. So stupid. And I knew it. And when my dad got after me, I knew pretty quickly that was a pretty awful thing to say about people. And, growing up Protestant, sainthood was not something that was talked about. Very rarely did we talk about, becoming holy, being holy. There was a lot of talk about being a good Christian, but the term holiness for us as just everyday people, I don't recall that being said a whole lot. And definitely talking about us becoming saints was never, ever brought up. When you died in the Protestant world, you just became an angel. People say that all the time. Even Catholics use that term all the time. I have an angel in heaven. My grandmother died and now I have an angel in heaven. Or, my spouse died and now I have an angel watching over me. And, I don't want to get into semantics. I know what they're trying to say, but it is a distinct difference. And we are not angels when we go to heaven. We're still human beings. And everybody that is in heaven is a saint. We are saints that are humans. Angels are saints as well, but they're angels and they're different. And there is a difference. And I think it's important to distinguish between the two. So anyway, getting off track there, I did not grow up with a desire to be holy, or even just a knowledge in my head that this was something I was supposed to be doing. I just kind of thought I was supposed to, be a good citizen, not do anything too bad, follow the 10 Commandments, and I would be a good person. And that's kind of the path that I thought was the right one to take. And I did not follow that very well, but that's the only thing I thought about it. Saints were not talked about. So when I came into the Catholic Church and there was all this talk about saints, I was like, wow, this is a new concept. And it was one that was extremely interesting to me because it really gave purpose to our lives. And it was very clear on how you become a saint. You follow God's will. And that includes all the things. It includes following the 10 Commandments, following the 2 greatest commandments that Christ taught us, going to church, reading scripture, getting the sacraments, and trying to find out what your calling is. What are you supposed to be doing with your life in order to bring light and love to others? And Sister Faustina here today says, I know why I was created. And why we were created, why we are created, is to be saints. This is our saint training ground down here. And, it's different than the angels because the angels have so much intellect and knowledge already infused into them that we don't possess. Adam and Eve did, but they lost that in the fall, just as Satan lost all of his graces when he made the decision to turn away from God. So what I want to focus on is how Sister Faustina today says, I desire to come out of this retreat a saint, even though human eyes will not notice this, not even those of the superiors. Becoming a saint is one of those topics where everybody, shakes their head. Oh, yes, that's nice. Be a saint. What else is there, as Patrick Coffin likes to say. And we all shake our heads and like, oh, yes, yes. But inside, I think a lot of us are like, oh, man, that's just not for me. I am not saint material. That's for this person over here who is way better at this, Catholic thing than I am. And so we kind of diminish ourselves like, oh, well, I could never be that. And sometimes I think we do it out of false humility as well. Oh, I could never be a saint. Not me. Not me. I'm not saint material. Most people don't think sainthood is for them, but it really is for all of us. It really is. And we have to take that seriously, and we can't brush it off and think it's for the other people. It's for all of us. And, when I said that back when I was a teenager, no, I don't want to hang out with all those boring people. Such a dim-witted thing to say and such a narrow view. And a lot of it was because I'd never been really introduced to the variety of lives that the saints have. When people live a very secular life, there's just this very narrow path that they all seem to fit on. They all just watch whatever they want. They all just listen to whatever they want. They all just do whatever they want. And it usually is just being sunk into vice after vice after vice after vice until their lives just kind of tend to look the same. And that is very boring. That is very boring, actually. When I look at the lives of the saints, especially when I hear about a new saint in my Magnificat, I always get to hear about new saints. I always have a little reading at the end of each day about a different type of saint, about something in particular. And I'm always so anxious, like, what did they do with their lives? I cannot wait to read this because their lives are so different. How did they use their gifts? Some went into majorly dangerous situations. Some did not. Some spent their whole lives, like Sister Faustina, behind convent walls. But each one of them is so different from the other, and their personalities and their loves and their likes just shine through. Like, you just know who they are because they're so true to themselves. They just shine with who God made them to be. And so they're just so interesting. They're not boring at all. I mean, I could read stories about the saints all day long and how they struggled with different things and how they worked to overcome them. And that's what's really fascinating about them. So, don't think that sainthood is not for you. It's for me too. And I don't say that with pride. I say that with humility. God gave me gifts. I'm meant to use them. He created me for a purpose, just like Sister Faustina said. And I'm meant to become Saint Amy. Do we have a Saint Amy? I don't know that we do. At least not that I've heard of. I'm sure there's one out there. But anyway, that's who I'm supposed to become. And you are supposed to become a saint as well. And your path will look vastly different than mine. But at the core of it all, it will be following God's will. And that is at the core of every saint's life, which is pretty cool. So that is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 271. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.